and this is our plan of attack.
Banks have become an essential threat to our democracy. So consider this justice.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio!
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs, memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Find us on Amazon.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, programs, and its website, guests, call-in listeners, or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com.
You guys hear the commercial?
Radio, and now we return you to
current career, She shines light into the darkness to illuminate what was, what may be, and
another minute.
The readings and advice given by Barbara Jean Lindsey for entertainment purposes only do not take the place of any medical, legal, or financial advice given to you by a qualified professional and are not a substitute for medical, legal, or financial advice.
I can hear the radio station. Okay,
call a
good.
doctor. If you need to be expanded, call the cosmic.
Yeah, but it sounds muffled. Yeah, it does me too. It's something going on there. So clear. As soon as it's done. This is quiet for you, Nick.
Welcome, everyone, to the Cosmic Oracle Show. This is your host, Barbara Jean Lindsey. And welcome. It is Friday, March 8th, 2019. Thanks for tuning in today. We have with us Pegi Robinson. You will just love her. I'm so excited to have her on the show today. And it's International Women's Day today, too.
Yay!
So yay, Pegi, welcome to the show. Thank you. I want to let our guests know all about you. And before I do want to tell our listeners here on Revolution Radio to thank them for you, our listeners, for your generous donations and keeping us on the air. We're an all-volunteer station. No one gets paid for any of their work here. We do it out of the goodness of our hearts, putting on people and their stories like Pegi's story today, and we have the freedom to talk about whatever we think is important, and we have the freedom to post it here and do whatever we want. So, and the way we can do that is by you giving your generous support by going to freedomslips.com, hitting that donate button and push it and give whatever you can. $5, $1, $10 makes a big difference. And this is the Cosmic Oracle Show's 4th year in doing this, and we love being here and being a part of Revolution Radio because we are changing the world one listener at a time. So thanks for tuning in, and now back to Pegi Robinson. I want to tell you a little bit about her. So Pegi's on the show. I just got a little information from her on Facebook. And, you know, how I book people on the show, I don't care about anything as much as an instinct. And so the instinct said, yeah, book her right away. And so I just went boop, boop, boop onto Facebook, and she went boop, boop, boop back. And here she is. And so sometimes it's like Spirit wants this to happen. And so we had grace. And so it all came together really beautifully. So I'll tell you the reason why Pegi's here on the show, a lot of reasons, but number one is part of our work here on the Cosmic Oracle Show is to have a place where people can call in and tell their extraordinary stories. Either that's with a near-death experience, an extraterrestrial experience, a UFO sighting, an artificial intelligence experience with the Fae, whatever that extraordinary experience is that you can call here on the Cosmic Oracle Show and tell your story and be respected and honored. And so that's what we do here. It's a part of our work. And then I have extraordinary guests like we do today with Pegi. So Pegi drowned at age of 5, and she returned changed forever. And during her death, she learned she was not loved by her family and that it wasn't fair because God sends children here to be loved. And that is why he sends them here. She understood her mission in life was to be a mother to unloved children. She knew she would have a long, hard road ahead, but because of it, she would have a strength inside most girls would never know. God gave her a strong will, the will of a wildflower, to help her survive the harsh environment. She died again at age 25, returning with an ability to know when someone needed immediate help or prayed for. Her passion to help children grew. Pegi became a child assault prevention workshop leader and the youngest foster parent in a neighboring county. While she was a full-time college student, she became a therapeutic foster parent and a child abuse investigator. In addition to raising her sons and her husband's daughters, she had 60 foster children in 16 years and adopted 10. Busy with college work and raising children, she didn't have time to ponder on how her near-death experiences shaped her life. Once they were all grown, she was flooded with memories and disabled with PTSD from her childhood. One morning, she had a vision and was healed of the PTSD and immediately began writing her memoir. And so that's where we have Pegi today, and with her beautiful book, The Will of a Wildflower. Welcome to the show, Pegi.
Thank you.
It's you know, to put all of that in just a few paragraphs is a lot. You know, it's where we want to start. And so I think I'd like to start with maybe your near-death experience and wherever you feel comfortable in the beginning, so we'll kind of know what it was like for you growing up and how you handled things.
Okay. I grew up outside of Marietta, Ohio. It's called Constitution Hill. It was once part of the Underground Railroad. And we lived in a little house. My parents was buying on land contract, my grandparents. And there was 5 kids. There should have been 6, but the firstborn died when he was about 9 months old of illness. So I was actually the 6th, but the youngest of the 5 that were living. And I was the tiny little runt of the litter. And one day I was 5 years old, sitting on the floor in my room playing Barbie dolls, as I usually did. And my mom walked in my room and said, "It's hot, let's go swimming." And I thought, wow, this is a big treat, because usually we always went swimming as a family, the 5 kids, my mom and dad. We just didn't go with mom taking us. And so there was a pond down at the bottom of our hill. Now it's called Catfish Paradise. It's for fishing, but back then I'm guessing that our family's probably the only one that fished or swam down there. And so I got my bathing suit and my brother, John, is 2 years older than me. He got on his trunks, and we took off running down the hill. Mom said her and my sister Terry would be down after bed, and my oldest 2 siblings were home that day, and my dad wasn't home. So John, he just took off running, and I'm little trying to catch up, and he's a real good swimmer, and I can only dog paddle. So he goes down to the farthest end of the pond and dives in and swims to the center and back, doing laps. And so, well, my mom's not here, nobody's here to watch me. And before, when we would go down to swim, my parents would sit there on the bank and watch me very carefully. And so I just pretend they were still there and did what I was supposed to do, was just wade in, not too deep, and use my feet to feel around the bottom for drop-offs, because if there could be a drop-off and I would go over my head, and if my parents were there, they could catch me real quick, but nobody there, so I knew I had to be really, really careful. And so I was watching up the hill for my mom and sister to come down, and they still hadn't come. And so I'm just being real careful and moving my feet around. And then I saw a board floating, and I thought that would make a good raft. So I used it as a raft. I put my little belly on top of it, and I could only dog paddle, so I'm wading myself. Where do I go? Clear to the center of the pond, like my brother was doing with his laps. So I got out to the center, and I yell, "Hey, look at me!" And my brother swims out real fast to me, and just before he got to me, I thought, oh no, I made a bad mistake saying, "Look at me," because he always takes my toys, and he's going to take this board. And he did. He grabbed it and didn't look back, went doing his laps on my board. And the water's like this, and I can't keep my head up very long at all. And then I'm under the water, and I cannot get back up. And it was dark brown, muddy water. I couldn't tell which was up, down, sideways, and I'm trying to make headway to get up, and I'm scared that maybe I'm going sideways or down because I'm just lost in this water. And I start choking, and I'm screaming and crying underwater, and it's a scary feeling being somewhere where no one knows where you are and don't even know you need help. And I thought about my mom and sister up to the house, because they're always my protectors, and I felt they're supposed to be here for me. And then I was at the ceiling in the kitchen looking down, watching them, feeling their emotions. I could feel how calm they were, picking things out of the cabinet to bring down, like for a picnic or something. And then I was back in the water. It was just a brief moment of, I wondered where they were, what they were doing. And then I saw them. And then I was, I'm physically always under the water. My spirit must have left for a second. And so I'm back in the water, struggling, and my throat hurt so bad. It felt like it was just going to burst open. I couldn't take it anymore. And then it was like I just woke up from a nap or something. It was that kind of feeling like, fine now. And the water is now a bright, shiny, transparent green. And so it's not so scary because, one, I can breathe. The other two, it's not dark. I can see. And first thought I had was, my parents lied to me. I wonder why they lied to me. They always said, be careful or you could drown. I thought, I didn't drown. I'm fine. And I couldn't wait to tell my older siblings, hey, guess what? We don't drown. They lied to us. And I thought I just, realized this great secret. And so I was clueless of what was happening. And that was my logic. Parents must lie to us. We don't drown. And I kind of drifted down a little more, which before would have scared me because I wanted to go up, not down. And the fish were bumping into me. And when they did, it would just push my body off. Like I was just poof, just moving around. And then a memory came to the left, like a scene opened up. And it was a memory of me in the living room at the house looking inside of a little fishbowl and wondering why the fish weren't afraid of this treasure chest, but they were be afraid of my hand, And I'm also at the same time wondering why these fish aren't afraid of me. They're just bumping right into me because when we go fishing with Dad, sometimes we try to catch fish with our bare hands and couldn't because they get away. They're afraid of us. So So, but looking in that fishbowl helped me understand through this scenario vision I was shown. It helped me understand something I didn't know, that the fish know I'm dead. That's why they're not afraid of that treasure chest. It's not alive. That's why they're not afraid of me. They know I'm not alive. And they know something I don't. I'm dead. Oh, I didn't know I was dead. And I thought, well, I don't want to be dead at the bottom of this pond. That would be strange for people that might want to come enjoy this pond later, thinking there's a dead girl involved with that pond. That's gross, wouldn't want to come. This is a fun place. I don't want to ruin it for everybody. So with that thought, I didn't want to be there at the bottom of this pond. I started rising up, and I got to the edge of the water, and I noticed my vision was different, because now I could see under the water and over the water at the same time, instead of, one or the other, like we normally see. So I thought, well, I want to go above. I'm bored with below. And I realized I navigated by wanting something. I wanted to go up, and I went up. So I thought, I'm going to go up a little higher. And I started to go up, and it's a beautiful, summer day, which is a big contrast from under the water, what I saw down there. So, this is so much better being up out of the water. And I thought, well, I want to go up higher, but I'm kind of afraid of heights. And I thought, well, that's silly. You're dead. Why do you be afraid of heights? And I see I don't have a body now. And I figure I'm a ghost. And the only thing I knew about ghosts was the cartoon, Casper the Friendly Ghost. So I think, okay, this is what being a ghost is like. And so I went up as high as the treetop. So I thought, that's high enough for now. I'm going to take my time getting used to this because everything's new. And I noticed my hearing was different. My vision's different. My hearing's different because I don't hear anything outside. Not until I started thinking, well, I can hover. I bet I could fly. Which way should I go? Right towards Belpre or left toward Marietta. And I heard a female voice some distance in front of me, but I didn't see anyone. But I heard her voice very clearly say to me, no, don't. If they find you soon, you might go back. And I thought, what is she talking about? Go back? That's not how death works. You don't go back. But you're dead, you're dead, I thought, who is this lady? And so I thought, well, I'll be a good girl for a while. I listen to adults, but, this doesn't make sense to me. And I don't think I have to listen to anybody now. Like, I don't have to worry about it's dark, you have to go in, or bedtime, or eat spinach. I felt free, like there's no boss. So I thought, what am I going to do? And I thought about going right toward Belpre. And I couldn't understand this for a long time because I remember a scenario of going right towards Belpre, walking in a door in a kitchen of an old house, and there's old people sitting around an old-fashioned table. And when I walk in, they all turn and look at me. And I say, do you know where I can find any kids to play with? And I don't know if they told me or if I thought it telepathically, like, go look at graveyards in Marietta. So then I went towards Marietta. I didn't understand that little thing that happened, that memory, for so long because I knew I never left directly above my body from the pond. I couldn't see my body down there, but I knew it was way down there somewhere. And so I didn't understand you could, and I think what it was is you can be in more places at once when you're dead. Right. And it took me decades to figure that out. How do I have this memory of going when I know I never went? And so then I have another memory that I decided to go left towards Marietta. And I'm walking along the highway because I see two boys walking along, like one's bigger and one's shorter. I think they're brothers. And I'm beside the short one. And I'm saying, where are you going? Where are you going? What are you doing? And I thought, gosh, they're ignoring me just like my siblings always did, tag along, peg again. And I think it was telepathic. The middle one was communicating with me saying, oh, we're in a hurry. We got to hurry and get home. And we was fishing too long. And, they're carrying fishing poles. One's carrying a bucket. And so I thought, oh, they really don't hear me. So I remember flying down the highway towards Marietta. I remember playing in a yard with kids, running around a yard. And I remember going in and out of houses. Now, that didn't come all at once. Those came in bits and pieces over the years, and me trying to figure out how this all happened, because I know I never left above the pond. So a long time I said, that can't be true. These memories I'm having can't be true. But then I think I was in more places at once. So I'm above the pond then, and I happen to look down, and I see my mom and sister have arrived at some point because they're sitting on a bed sheet now, and they're rubbing lotion on their hands and arms, and they're facing the pond, but they're looking at each other, kind of talking. And I didn't hear them, but I felt their conversation. I felt the female closeness, intimate, the maturity, and I was envious because I thought, I can't wait till I'm old enough to talk to Mom like that. And then I thought, wait a minute, I never will get old enough. You know, I died. And I felt sad. And then it was like you'd have emotion, and then it would be swept away from you. And then you were back to like neutral. And then I looked down on the left, and I see my brother on that board still doing laps. And I felt all this anger, like a grown man would have anger, it was rage. Thinking he took my board and I drowned without it. And then that was swept away. And then there was knowledge that come in that my family didn't love me. And then I heard a voice say, like inside of me, but not my voice, say, children are sent here to be loved. That is why God sends them here. And I said, well, that's not fair, because you just told me I'm not loved by my family, but now you're telling me God sends children here to be loved. You know, that's not right. And it seemed like I grew this strong feeling of injustice, of what's fair and what's not fair, and that I never had as a 5-year-old child. And I grew this wisdom and knowledge. And next thing I know, I am being carried over my brother John's right shoulder. My arms are dangling. He's carrying my dead body up to the house. From hanging upside down, I could see my mom and my sister are walking up ahead. And water starts pouring out of my mouth and nose down his bare back. And he said, Mom, can I put her down now? And my mom turned and looked and went, took a deep sigh of relief, because her child was dead. Now it's not. And so I noticed her and my sister kind of whispering, like, you know, they going up to the house. My brother sets me down in the middle of the road and takes on up the house. And so I'm standing there with this belly full of pond water, sick as a dog, feeling like a drowned rat. I remembered instinctively the feelings, the thoughts I had, and thinking, you know, I have all this wisdom now and knowledge, and I decide I'm going to go back to the pond, because I could go up to this house, this family don't love me, because I was about to go flying and exploring and freedom, and I chose that. And the moment I chose it and started to walk towards the pond, because I knew it would be scary, I knew it would hurt, but I wasn't going to fight it this time. And as soon as I decided to go do that, the voice, the female voice I heard before, I now see her as an angel, and she is in a flowing white gown of light. And she said, no, don't. I said, why? You know they don't love me. And she said, well, you'll have a lot of love someday. And I said, when? And she said, when you have your own family, you'll have a lot of love then. And I said, well, where will I find it? And she pointed right towards Belpre. So I went up to my home and went to my room and got on my nightgown and crawled in bed and got a nursery rhyme book and flipped through. And I'm thinking, I'm going to be my own mother now. I see now nobody's going to take care of me. I mean, nobody come in and checked. You okay? Feeling all right? Thank God you're all right. You know, nothing.
Well,
and
yeah,
I've got this knowledge.
Normal, right? The normal would be, oh my God, if your kids or my kids, we would just be like beside ourselves with grief and, you know,
Yeah.
But you didn't have.
So I opened up. So I opened up the nursery rhyme book and flipped through and stopped at Old Woman That Lived in a Shoe. And I was looking at this shoe, and I flipped the pages, and there's a page with beds all lined up against the wall. And I thought, that's what I think the angel meant when she said I'd have a lot of love someday. I think she meant I'd have a lot of children. Maybe I'll have an orphanage. Maybe I'll love children that aren't loved by their families, because I know what that's like. And so strange things started happening after that. That's how I come to write name the book, The Will of a Wildflower. Went to a lake with my parents fishing, and I walked out, wandered out in the woods. I felt led, like there's something, somewhere I'm supposed to go, somewhere I'm supposed to be. and still 5 years old, and not understanding why I'm feeling this. And I stopped in the edge there of the woods, and it was just dry, cracked mud and sticks and leaves. And why am I here? This is so ugly and void of life. I don't want to be here, but I feel like I'm supposed to be here. I was really confused. And then I noticed one flower growing out from underneath the rock. And I went over there, and I started feeling compassion for this flower. And I started talking to it, saying, why are you here all alone? How did you grow? How did you do? I'm just like amazed. And so this communication, and looking back, I think maybe the angel wanted to continue a conversation with me. And this is her way of getting my attention to have it, because I was told some things in that conversation that no 5-year-old could have dreamt up, comprehended.
Well, the wisdom that you had for 5 years old, my goodness, you're like, some adults don't get that, okay? Ever. To bring that to you as a 5-year-old is quite exceptional and extraordinary. And,
even as an adult, looking back, it took me quite a while to understand what that even meant. Because I just had this strange memory and didn't really think in deeper into, oh my gosh, finally, like, I see the meaning in that. Mm-hmm. But it was, I wish, like I saw the fishbowl vision. It explained a concept to me. While looking at this flower, I saw a vision of the girls in my Sunday school class that come from nice homes, that had the pretty dresses and the bows in their hair and the long curled hair, all that's shiny shoes and socks. And then there's me with a pixie boy haircut and raggedy clothes. And I was never real bright, didn't ever fit in. And so I saw the girls and I was envious of them. And then I saw another scenario, and it opened up, and it was a memory of my mom and my 2 aunts, her sisters, and my grandma, my mom's mom, sitting there talking about their favorite flower. And they were all trying to impress the other with, each naming a fancy flower. Well, you can only grow those in, those ain't grow in a flower shop, or they're too hard to grow. And they all required a lot of care. Just like those girls, they required a lot of pampering. And the Wildflower let me know, this is all telepathic, that you are those girls are like those hard to grow fancy flower shop flowers. They require a lot of care. And you don't. You're like me. I'm like this wildflower that I can grow anywhere. I can grow despite the harsh environment. And it said you are going to have a very long, hard road growing up. But because of it, you will have a strength inside of you that the other girls will never know. You will have the will of a wildflower. And at the end, it says, and I thought, oh, wow, because it says you'll have a strength. I said, oh, wow, I'm going to be strong. And then it said, and you're going to be beautiful. Well, this little girl is always playing Barbie dolls, like, yay! So I went running, picking up all these wildflowers, picking them. And so my mom, when it was time to go, she says, throw those weeds away. Oh. Those aren't flowers, they're weeds. And I thought, but I'm a weed, I'm a flower. You think I'm a weed, but I'm going to be beautiful and I'm going to be strong. And so I'm sitting there on the way home, squished in the back seat with my siblings and older siblings. So I'm grinning from ear to ear all the way, thinking I have a secret that nobody knows, that I'm going to be strong and I'm going to be beautiful. Yay! Stupid little kid, but I just had this, like my fortune was, and I knew it was true. It's just the way it was just given to me. And so some strange things happened when I was a kid, and then it all, I forgot all about it. And until after the tubal pregnancy, then I remembered drowning, and all these little strange things that happened started coming back to my mind. It seemed like after the tubal pregnancy, which was 20 years later after drowning, just opened me up again. But then I'm older now, and I started saving people's lives, and I didn't understand how I was being led. Like I was led to go look at that flower. I was led to go save people that was in immediate danger at that moment. But it was just the same following where led kind of thing, a communication, because that's the way it is on the other side. There's a telepathic communication.
Right.
And it comes back with you after a near-death experience, whether you're 5 or 25 or whatever.
You're able to go in between the worlds at will.
Without realizing that's what was happening. I just knew these things were happening. I didn't understand them.
And you thought everybody did them, right? And now you find out it doesn't happen to everybody.
Well, I didn't know anybody this happened to, and people were like, I don't know, it's weird. You go on. What can you say? There's no logic.
But later you did find Diane's, and that helped you, right? With some of this. And that's the International Association for Near-Death Studies, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, before.
Was that much later, though, right? Still at 25.
Yes.
That wasn't
After
until much
kids were
later.
born.
Wow. That is a long time later. So let's back up a little bit about when you would get an intuition to help heal someone. Can you give us an example? I know you did in your book, one that they told you to go help, and then you feel kind of like, should I say anything or not? And then it becomes bigger than you, and you just got to do it, right? It's kind of like that.
Yeah, it's like an instinct. You have to go.
Yeah.
There was the echo there.
Yeah. Well, I think we just went there. Yeah, and so you're just guided with certain people that you either have a conversation with them, or do you put hands on healing, or do you just give them advice, or you just show up, or how does that usually work? It depends on what's needed, right?
I have no control over it whatsoever. It's nothing I can go and do on command. It's something that just comes to me. A voice will just come in, or I just feel an angel come on upon me and say something telepathic. It's always a complete surprise. It's not. I've just learned to listen to it now instead of what in the world.
Well, so you can't summon it. I always get people to ask, well, can you summon it? No, don't summon it, right? And sometimes the more you try, it doesn't come. So it's the let go part. It seems to be a part. It just comes when it wants to come. Would that be a good interpretation of that?
Well, I guess it would be like if I summoned you to come knock on my door right now, I can do that. But if you come knock on my door, hey, it's somebody that's coming in. I can't make them come in. It's when they choose to come in.
Right.
And they have a reason for it. It's usually I couldn't understand it. Like, I started noticing that when somebody I was close to was about to die, a spirit would come and say something. And I'm like, oh. And then there's this communication. And the first time I was working in the backyard. It was hot and I was just busy. And all of a sudden something caught the corner of my eye. And it's like a outline or something flying down from over in the field and down right like above me. And something's here. What? Almost like a shadow. And they said, and I heard telepathic real quick. There's 2 angels. And they said, are you praying for Pappy? And I'm like, no, I'm divorced from, Pappy's my ex-father-in-law. I'm divorced from my first husband, and then I haven't been praying. And I'm thinking, and they're like, oh, okay. And they were gone. And I thought, well, wait, come back. Of course they're gone. And I'm thinking, but I can't pray for him. What's going on? What's wrong? And it kind of worried me. It's like, and then I thought, oh, just this. That don't make sense. Well, then my son calls and says that he just died of a heart attack.
Wow.
And so I thought, what? Well, I thought, well, that would never happen again. Well, it did. Then years later, when his wife was in the hospital, and I was told she's doing much better, so I was going to take her some flowers and a card and go see her. But then on the way, I was told, don't go yet. And so I sat in the car and waited. And then when I was told, okay, go now. Oh, okay. I don't know why or what, but I'm going to follow this. And then just as I started to go, my son called and said that his grandma, my ex-mother-in-law, she just passed. And I thought, well, usually, stories I heard, you're told to hurry and get there before it's too late. Why am I going after the fact? It's like that I was meant to come in at a certain time and not before. So I went ahead to the hospital because I felt I'm just supposed to go, because I was told, go ahead, don't go yet. And then I'll go ahead. So, and my ex is from a big Catholic family, 12 kids, and I really did not want to go. As in there, I knew they were all there, and was with their mom when they died. I found out when I got there. My son was there and his wife. And my ex come up and gave me a hug, and he said, Mom just passed, and as soon as I get her clean, the kids go see her, you go see her. I was like, okay. But when I got off the elevator, here's 12 kids and their spouses all lined up, and we did not really get along. But here I am. Something made me go hug them. I started with the first one. I went down, and as soon as they hugged me, they started bawling. They were like numb. When I got there, they're all standing there like numb. Like they didn't know what to feel. Their mother just died. And so I would hug them and say something, and they would bawl. And I'd go to the next one, hug them, and then they would bawl. I didn't say a word, but I felt my ex-father-in-law was in me, and it was him hugging his children. And so time to go into her. I took my daughter-in-law by the hand, and we went in, and I put my right hand on her left arm. And when I did, it was like I just picked up the phone and she's talking. This telepathic communication just started. And she expected me to bring her back. Oh. And I'm like, I can't bring you back. And she's like, you gotta bring me back. I don't want to go. I'm like, we're telepathically kind of arguing. I'm like, you just need to go. You fell and broke your hip and had a massive heart attack. You had a beautiful death. All 12 of your kids were here. You were saying prayers and singing hymns. And so they said she mouthed it. She couldn't say it out loud, but she's mouthing it with them. Beautiful death. I said, the next time it might not be beautiful. Plus, why start off for all this pain? You don't want to be here for all this pain. Just go. And she's like, no, I don't want to go. I want to go. We're having this little debate. And I said, isn't Pappy there? Isn't your brothers, sisters, your parents, somebody there? Just go. And so I took my hand off, and it was like I just hung up on her. Well, she started appearing at the foot of my bed at night. So after a couple of nights, I thought, there's nothing to be afraid of. Why I would be afraid of her. So I says, okay, come in here and tell me what you have to say to me. And I got my Bible, and I got a pen, and I said, I'm going to write it in my Bible, so there'll be a record of what you have to say. And she showed me a vision. Mm-hmm. And it's so strange when I put this all together later, because I didn't for the longest time, that things are shown to me in vision form, as they were in the drowning and then the two pregnancy. Mm-hmm. They're showed to me in vision. I saw a vision of a very clear memory that I had completely forgot about. And it was back when I was married to their son, and our kids was little, and I walked down to their house, which I did frequently, and walked in, and there's Pappy standing there in front of the phone, and his mom is my ex's mom, my mother-in-law's standing near the kitchen sink. And they say to me, Pappy says to me, you are our Loretta. And what? Loretta was born a couple months, I think, after me. I think, because I was born in February. I think she was born in April, I think. And she was stillborn. So she would have been, about my age. And he said, you are our Loretta. I'm like, huh? And he said, yeah. He says, you look like you could be one of our kids. We love you like a daughter. And me and Mommy talked about it. And you are our Loretta. And to me, this meant, this is their way of saying, we loved you.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow. You finally got it from extended family, not from your family, but extended family.
Yeah. So I was real close with his parents.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's beautiful. And so they just had to let you know that. And Spirit wanted you to know that. So.
Yeah.
And this would help you later with your work, right? As a foundation of that love, of being able to love other than just your blood family, shall we call it? I don't know what you would call it. your relatives. Well, those are...
Because what I felt at her funeral, before she started coming to the foot of my bed, what I felt at her funeral was, here's all her 12 kids up there in front, crying over their mom dying, and I'm sitting in the back bawling, And I am thinking they don't know it, but I'm the 13th child.
Yeah.
Because they had enough love, even though they had all those kids, they had enough love left over for me. And I had such gratitude to them for that. They stuck up for me against their own children sometimes. And so, you know, it meant a lot to me.
Well, and to have that love there's no end to love, right? Your whole life has been about that in some ways, that there's so much love to give and there's so much needed out there, and your work that you've been doing. So it's a beautiful story, and that you're still passing it on, the love that you received finally, and that, and then with your work, how can we go from there maybe to your work, or how would you like to take this? I'm with you wherever you want to, whatever feels right, whatever going with what you want.
Well, there was some strange things happened in my teenage years that I didn't understand either. I didn't tell anybody. I was kidnapped and raped. And when the guy was approaching me, he took me out in the woods in a little shed and broke the padlock off, and there was tools on the wall and everything. He's supposed to be taking me to my dad's, and he didn't. He took me somewhere else. And so as he approached me, I had been already praying to God that I wish I would be in this world, because he was a black man. And I knew my family were so prejudiced that they would hate me and blame me for this. And they would not understand, you know, that it was rape or anything, because he had already threatened to throw me in a lake and said nobody would find me. So I knew if I fought in this tool shed that I would not come out there alive. And so I knew I couldn't fight. And months before, 2 guys jumped out of the bushes and tried to rape me, and I was able to scream, and somebody come and rescued me. And so for me to not fight, because I'm a fighter, was against everything in me. And so as he approached me, I prayed to God, I wish I would even on this earth. Suddenly, I am in the night sky among the twinkling stars, looking down at earth. And I was safe, and I had a body, and I was real skinny back then. I had long dark hair, and it's blown in the wind and all this. And so then I come back, and it was over, and later, you know, I got away, and I called the cops, and, you know, he was arrested, and he was charged and everything, but, you know, he admitted to the rape. And so I know it happened, but back then it was statutory rape, and I didn't understand. I didn't know how to tell them I wasn't there. I didn't know how to tell them that it was rape, because I didn't fight. I didn't understand I was not a very smart child. I mean, I just was like always slow. And so anyway, so that was one of these things. Was that a wish come true? Was that a prayer answered? Do I have some kind of ability or something? I never told nobody. And so when I went back, they put me in protective custody because my parents told the cops they would kill me when they got me home. So when I got back to school, after I don't know how long I was in that group home, I went to school feeling like everybody knew, everybody judged me, and I was just a wreck inside. And I walked out of the smoking area one day in the lunchroom, and I seen this boy they called Jimmy. And I didn't really know him, but a voice said to observe, but don't approach. And then at the end of the school year, the voice said, again, popped up and said again, you need to go and become a better person first, and then you and he would be together someday. Well, we moved. I was 16, forgot all about that. Well, after my divorce, I was going down this road one day, and all of a sudden this blue spirit come through the windshield and said, there's a guy down that road that has 2 girls and he needs you. What in the world? If that happens again, I'm going to call a shrink, because obviously I'm going crazy. Well, ended up one night I asked God to arrange my marriage, because we were divorced and all this stuff. And so I was told, follow God like a leaf follows the wind. And I followed my instincts like I was led. And I started opening up this door to go to this place, and a voice said, don't look left, don't look right, look straight ahead. And there was Jimmy. And we've been married 21 years now. And we adopted 9 of the 10.
And what an amazing story there. Wow. So it gave you hope and inspiration when you needed it, right? To carry on with such a heavy load and a heavy burden. And they do say that by having these, our greatest spiritual rewards is sometimes from something this heavy and how we handle it. And that you're not a victim in this, that instead it caused you to change things and I'm a firewalking instructor, so get your noom up and we're going to change some things while we're here. And that's how you decided to take all of this abuse and horror in a way. I mean, rape is a horror, and you were saved that you checked out like with an altar or checked out, but you still went through it and wow, it's just intense. And your books like that, when I started reading your book, The Will of a Wildflower, you take everyone right on the journey with you, and you feel such emotions. And I cried, and I got pissed, and I got angry, and I'm going, that's not fair. And somebody help her. Somebody help that poor, innocent, sweet, adorable girl, and for all of the women out there and men too that have someone take over a charge of our body and charge of us like that without any respect or honor or love is just a very evil thing. So I just went on a rant. I'm sorry. See, you got me worked up.
Thank you. Thank you for your compassion. Because when I wrote the book, I had like an imaginary person standing there the whole time. And it was like I was talking to them. And I thought, I don't know who this person is, but nobody's cared ever what's happened to me. And so this book is going to go out in the world, and at least one person out there might shed a tear for me. Well, Faith Hill's song, Cry a Little, I think of that, right. Somebody cry a tear for me, because I don't know why. As human beings, we need that. When your own mother, finds you knocked out cold, because my brother would brag, well, Mom don't even give a crap about you, because, I was laying unconscious on the floor where he knocked me out cold, and he bragged to me that she said, pick that thing up. I'm tired of stepping over it. So you grow up feeling nobody thinks I'm human. How come I'm not human like everybody else? I see other kids being loved by their mom and their dad, and their big brother's protective over them, and their sister's their best friend. Or, why me? Why, I think I'm not trying hard enough. I'm not doing something right. And then I got in my ex-husband's family, and some of his siblings didn't like me. And so, one of them beat the crap out of me, but a bunch of them stood there and watched. And then one of them started screaming, saying, my God, she's going to kill her, and started to pull her off. And then the brother, my ex, says, no, let him fight it out. And that woman jumped back on me. I'm like, fight it out. I think I'm going to be paralyzed here. So, I kept trying to, because my ex, he married me because I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And I always knew he probably really didn't love me. I mean, we would say it, but I don't think, but I would have like a perfectly clean house. I was perfect wife, and the meals and mother and everything, and I thought it'll come. I've heard of people sometimes get married and don't come right away. It'll come. Well, obviously after 16 years, he finally did the right thing and, go find it somewhere. And I was happy for him. Go find it somewhere else, because you're not going to find it with me, obviously. So, but my husband now, 21 years, my soulmate, I mean, he adores me, and we are have always been so happy from day one.
And so you get your self-worth back, right? All you were looking for was for someone to love you, and how that is a key. It's such a key to us being human, is our capability and our ability to love and be loved. That's what sets us apart from some of the other, like the stones. But the trees, I think, do love, and the stones do too. But that's a whole nother show. But so that's just to see your walk and how you've taken it, and taken it forward so that if you had to go through that, then on your watch, then you're going to help it so that other children don't have to go through what you went through.
It's always going to happen. I mean, it's always going to be abuse. I mean, whenever I see in the paper a child, killed of abuse and a teenager killed, and I just think, what did they go through before this ended up happening? Because I remember one day at 16, my mom was upset with me for something I didn't do, and she said that she was going to kill me if something happened to my stepdad, because he went chasing after somebody, and I had nothing to do with that, but they thought I did. And so I sat on my bed just straight up for hours waiting for my mom to come through that door to kill me. And I was thinking, how's she going to do it? I don't think she has a gun. Will it be a knife? Will it be a ball bat? Will she beat me with her fist? And I love my mother so much that it was so weird to sit there loving someone so much, knowing they were coming to kill you. And I wasn't going to fight her because I loved her so much. And that's just messed up. I should have went out the window, but I was just a strange kid. I had unconditional love that, now I think, why didn't you this or that? But that's just me.
Yeah, but as a child, you don't think like that. You're open and you don't have the life experience under your belt either. You are the victim as a child. You are of all of your conditions and social conditions and the abuse, not only verbally, but physically and mentally. I mean, and all the gamut. You hit the whole gamut of abuse that could be done to a human in some ways. I mean, and look at you, you came through it, again, realizing that you can still love and have so much love to give, that it's very inspiring. Your story is very, very inspiring. So I'm sure our listeners are feeling that, and feel the compassion for you and take that little girl and hug her and love her and tell her she's beautiful and smart and she's going to help change the world. So that's what you've done. And so when we come back from the break, we're just about to go on a break now. I'm going to check. And when we come back, we could talk about your work with your children and all the fighting you had to do for children through the social service system and all that sort of thing. So I think we're on a break now. It won't let me go through and check, but yes, we're on a break. So we'll be back, I think, at like 6:02 or 6:04. So everyone stay where you're at. Get a drink of water if you need be, and we'll be right back after this break. Thanks for tuning in to the Cosmic Oracle Show. We're here every Friday. And thank you, Pegi Robinson, for sharing your story and inspiring us this day, the International Women's Day. Woo woo! We'll be right back, everyone. I'm trying to get it on here. Right. Okay. Nothing like a little. We should be on break right now, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like it. So let me check and see what we have here. Okay, just a second. Hang in there. Okay, let's try on this instead, and so that we can hear it. For some reason, we're not able to hear the commercials, so let's see if we can go on here. And we'll be right back. Hold on, everyone. We'll be right back with Pegi Robinson. Mm-hmm. Okay, hang in there. We're almost finished. We'll be right back. To Revolution Radio. Mm. And we just have a few minutes left. Like 3 minutes. Hang in there if you're on Facebook. We'll be right back. And trying to find you. It's kind of here, but not quite. Here we go. Come on. Hang in there. We have just a few minutes left. We'll be right back. All right. Maybe 1 minute longer, and we'll be right back. I'm not hearing it.
Miles an hour. Okay.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomsource.com. We'll be right back after this message.
I have.
Hi, Chris and DE.
Several witnesses that I have personally interviewed now.
Okay, and you know what? Let's
in breaking news, a visiting Syrian diplomat reported today that their population is evolving rapidly and advancing into a fifth-dimensional consciousness. They are seeking peace with all cosmic cultures, which may mean that the Earth will be asked to join the prestigious Galactic Federation of Light Alliances. Please join Debbie West and Michael Hathaway on Lost Knowledge, Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Studio A. For the latest breaking news on the Star Visitors' peaceful contact and the ongoing project of cleansing the Earth.
Who are you? I am the architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you. Why am I here? You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision, which has led you inexorably here. You haven't answered my question. The Matrix is older than you know, as you are undoubtedly gathering. The anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equation. Choice. The problem is choice.
Right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Be here Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Private Eye Matrix Revealed with Monique Lassonde.
Hello, my name is Mr. Rowe. I am the host of Reality Extraction on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I utilize logic, intellect, and magic to methodically autonomize, vivisect, analyze, examine, study, scrutinize, and extract an essence of reality from a fog of illusion and confusion. You can find me on Studio B every Thursday, 1700 hours Pacific Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. No topic taboo, no subject too strange. I strive to take a neutral standpoint during the dissection of the topic at hand. That's Reality Extraction with Mr. Rowe on Revolution Radio.
Into the us, I on stage, and I am ready.
to the shining sundown, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
When you can afford to make a purchase.
For a second there. Welcome back to the Cosmic
Thanks for
Show.
tuning in
We're
to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution
the-
Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free. But there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver Eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Collision Course is back.
I'm not getting it on my end, so we're just going to start.
Radio every Saturday night, 6 to 8 p.m.
I don't know what's going on today. We have a few people helping us out here.
Honest answers.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cosmic Oracle Show. This is your host, Barbara Jean Lindsey. We have with us today Pegi Robinson, and it's appropriate that she's here on the International Women's Day as well.
5 p.m. 7 p.m. Central.
We'll be presenting Pegi. I'll give her address later. We'll be sending her an award for the International Women's Day for the Cosmic Oracle Show for all that she has survived. And
how healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs. Memory is not as good as it used to be. Ankles swell late in the day. Chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrops.com or find us on Amazon.
Dark pot of evil, shall we say, right? Pegi, that needs to be...
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listeners supporting radio, and now we return
mistakes.
You to your host.
They're your parents, and you still love them. Just like me sitting here on that bed, waiting for my mom to come kill me. I still loved her. Our older adopted children, eventually, most of them went back. Some of them right away, since they turned 18, to the environment. Because that's mom, that's dad, that's grandma and grandpa, that's aunts and uncles. That is their family. And blood is thicker than water. Now, people that adopt kids right at birth or when they're small, my nephew, we got him, he just turned 2. I mean, I'm mom and, my ex is his dad. And we're actually aunt and uncle, but we're mom and dad. And he doesn't want to hear anything else. My oldest sister is mentally disabled and she couldn't raise him. And she asked us to take him. And So it just depends. You could get a 16-year-old and they're your kid for life. It just depends. Just like any relationship, it can work out and it could not work out. And if your heart is really belonging to somebody else, it doesn't matter. You could be the perfect parent. And or some of the kids, it's just the lifestyle they had. They had wild lifestyles before we adopted them. And they want to go back to that because, we say if you're going to be at my house and you've had children, none of them got pregnant at my house, but, afterwards, and they come back. And here comes them with their kids, and they dropped out of high school, and they don't want to work. They don't want to go to college. And, well, I'm going to put down rules. And you are going to get up with your baby. I'm not. You're going to take care of your kids. And so it's kind of easier to go stay with people that say, here's some drugs. Well, let's go break in this house. Here's some heroin. Well, let's just sit here and get drunk. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to go to work. What are you going to pick? So, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I do not have any answers other than blood is thicker than water. And there needs to be a lot less removals. A lot less.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. And so do you think a lot of children then are taken when they should not have been taken, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Would that tie up then with pedophile rings and that whole thing as well?
I know nothing about pedophile rings. I never dealt with any of that, thankfully. So, I have my suspicions of things are deeper than what they appear in our government that, and a lot of things I've heard. This man-boy love brotherhood that is supposedly, I don't know if it's true, behind a lot of our government in Hollywood, that there are a lot of people that are wanting to have sexual relationships with children, and they're going to end up pushing that and wanting it to be illegal. And it's not going to happen in my lifetime, but I mean, there's that stuff out there. But your general family, no. I mean, that's not what your family's about. So, those rare things are out there. I guess they're not that rare, but, as far as families go.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So your 60 children, then, do you still stay in touch with them on and off, most of them, or?
I have, the 60? No. We had kids, it might be a weekend. The longest we had a foster child was a year and a half. Mm-hmm. So some have come back. Mother's Day, or when they have a child, come back and want us to see their child, or contact me on Facebook, or just stop it, knock on the door one day, or things. But the adopted children, no, it varies. With some I can be real close with, and have one grandchild for a few months, and then may not see him for a year. So they're working their own stuff out. When you remove kids from a home, those kids are going to be damaged. I don't care what adoptive home, I say the younger the better if you're going to take them and raise them. But what if they should have never been removed to begin with? And what about the family, the grandparents, and the parents are wrongly had their child taken away, because it happens all the time. A caseworker can get mad, or she'd be in a bad mood, or she's going to show her power, or she was sexually abused, and so she thinks everybody needs to be, in a different home, or somebody spanked her butt when she was 5 once, and now any type of discipline is going to be instant removal. People come with their own baggage, and they're caseworkers. They're people. They're going to have baggage. They're not miracle workers. They're not saints. And they go to college, and everyone will tell you that college did nothing to prepare them for that job. You walk in somebody's home, you knock on the door, you tell them the allegations, and it's up to you to decide who stays, who goes, what happens, close you're going to look. Some caseworkers will interview somebody 5 minutes and leave. Everything's fine. Or like me, I mean, my files were thick. I wasn't going to let go of a case until I knew exactly what was going on. So
But that was rarity. You were the time?
In my county, I believe I was a rarity. The girl that had the lady that had the job before me, I met her, and she left for the same reasons I did. She was treated the same way I was, and basically they wanted somebody in there that wasn't going to make waves, and that wasn't me, and it wasn't her. But the ones that are just going to play along and keep their retirement and their pay increases, and they're not going to care. I don't know. I can't judge, but just my opinions about the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But then now the other counties, other caseworkers I've worked with are adoption workers for other kids, and for foster parents. So caseworkers we worked with, they were great. They really were great. They'd care, and then I've seen some real people that should probably be in a padded room, have no business having those jobs.
Mm. Mm. So what do you think the answer is? Do we go in and just change everything, or, or start?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I think there needs to be a office, a child protection, in our police departments and not in our human services agencies.
Oh.
These cases need to be dealt with as legal matters, because if it is not a legal matter, you have no business being in that family. If you do not have enough information to arrest that person, then you have no business getting in there and getting involved and messing up. You know what you're doing. Like, I know my kids better than you, and you know your kids better than me. To walk in and say, well, I think this, and well, how do you think that? How did you come up with that? Just ridiculous things. They're doing a lot more damage than they are good. I will say that. A lot more damage. Well, and our government's paying for this, and we're doing it. We're putting they're putting so many kids in foster homes, they can't keep track of them. And then you're going to say they're better off. And there's some rich caseworkers that's, never seen anything horrible in their life, and they walk in a dirty home and they're removing. Mm. Or they think, well, I know this foster family that has a real nice home. Oh, that baby, that would do great in this wonderful home. It's not right, because, like I say, blood's thicker than water, and you can put them in a beautiful home that, think of you as a child. Say you're poor, but say you're happy, and they take you out of there, and you don't know these people. They're strangers. And then you're labeled at school as a foster child. And then what if you get moved to another home, and then another, were you any better off? What if you just miss your mom your entire childhood, or your siblings, and they don't understand what they're doing? Nobody's asking the kids when they turn 18 and go out of the system, what was that like for you? Nobody is asking these kids, how's this going for you? What do you think needs to happen? Now, you might get a hold of some bratty teenagers that's been through the system, and, they're going to lie through their teeth. And, because we are making these kids like this. They're finding out all I got to do is bat my eyes and say, they starved me. Oh, well, another home. Oh, good, because I was grounded at the last one. I won't be grounded anymore. And you get new clothes. Every time you get moved to another home, you get a clothing voucher and you get new clothes. Mm. They get desensitized to everything. And what's love got to do with it? As the song says, they're not going to throw their heart out there. They've been through too much. So I'm just not happy with the system.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But if we could get organized and maybe take a look at it, at least if people that are listening or hear this later, if they want to get involved, they can go down to, where could they go to get involved to help? Or if someone's listening and they need help and are in an abusive situation and need help.
You're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
And with our current system, you are shit out of luck. You are shit out of luck. Because it depends on your county, what they have to offer. It depends on the caseworker, what kind of person she is. You might get all kinds of services. I know some places that they'll take you to your visit. They'll send you a cab and take you to your visit. She'll put you in everything possible to make this work. And other places, I don't think you should have your child and they walk out the door and you never see him again. Even though the rules say you have so many months, are allowed so much towards reunification, they can do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. There's the rules, but they don't have to go by the rules. And I have that in black and white from United States Health and Human Services. I had a 5-year investigation, and they did nothing but tell me what the state did, which was they don't have to go by the rules. Children do what they want. So. Mm-hmm. Sheriff's deputies tried to have me killed twice when I was a worker. I have told FBI, I've told the governor, I've told senators. Nobody comes to ask me nothing. They're not listening to me. It's documented in cases. They don't want to find fault with their own system. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I was on the side of a defendant once, which is never done. You have the prosecutor and the judge and the caseworker and the counselors, and it's this big all-star team working together for the child, so they say, which means against the parents. And what's the parents have? Nobody. Can you afford an attorney at the drop of the hat? Can you go spend all this money when you might have other kids to raise? Fight a system that you're not going to win anyway. It's not even. And so one time I was on the side of a defendant because there was no evidence whatsoever for what he was being accused of. He was facing 50 years in prison for molesting his 2 little girls when he had receipts to show he was not even there. But the whole county is a witch hunt. It was actually listed in the papers, a witch hunt. And the whole county was determined that they was going to get that guy because he knew somebody, and somebody's mad. And, there's a lot of corruption. Mm-hmm. A lot is done on favors. You walk into a prosecutor's office, hey, I want you to go after that person. Or you walk in the prosecutor's office and you say, hey, get my cousin off of this. Or how much do I have to pay for get custody of my kids? Slipping money here, there. And there's a big department of, I don't want to give names, but where kids get sent when juvenile detention centers and stuff, and judges are getting paid for kids get sent there. And I mean, here in New York, it was a while back, cops were planting stuff on innocent people so they could look better and get promoted and stuff, so they're getting more bus. There's just corruption everywhere. There's caseworkers, the judges, the lawyers, everything's corrupt.
So there has to be some changes, and so
they're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. They're not going to do it. I don't see it. Mm-hmm. It's working out too well for them.
Mm-hmm. Someone's making something, and so no one listens to the child. No one really listens to the parents. So it is out of balance. A corrupt system that's been in place for since when? I don't even know when it started. I don't have any idea when it started. But the same with our school system as well. In some ways, very archaic system for a loving, wonderful child that should be inspired and cared for and raised, like a wonderful garden, right? That we have such human potential to have it greed or whatever it is to take that from them. Not only their innocence, but their that beauty, that essence of them that is so, sweet and open and creative and all of those wonderful things. So, wow.
I wish they had classes to identify spiritual kids. They do for gifted and athletic or the arts, music, whatever, but there's nothing to identify a spiritual child.
That's
because we see things completely different.
Yeah. We're sensitives. We feel everything.
I would sit in class and I can't hear the teacher. All I can hear is I'm absorbing everybody's emotions.
Right.
And it just takes up everything. I'm just like, and I'm just absorbing everything. And then I just end up staring out the window. And the stuff they talk about had no interest to me at all. Now, if they would tell a story, then I would be on the edge of my seat because I relate to relationships and stories and anything that's a true, I don't know, but
yeah.
I mean, and I would go to the nonfiction section of the library. I would not go down the fiction. To me, that said lies. That's lies over there. I'm not going to the lies section.
Well, thank you for taking us down that road of your work there for so long within that system and fighting the good fight for so long, and then to just then let go, right? And there'll always be other people that are kind of come and fight that. Hopefully, after you, there's someone else, and someone else gets the call, and someone else gets the call, so that hopefully we can change that in the future and it doesn't get worse. The same with all of our archaic systems here, not only in the United States, but in the world as well. And so it's going to take warriors like you. It's going to take strength and power and determination and the will of a wildflower to change it. So let's go back a little bit. And I thought maybe we would talk a little bit about, I like what you're talking about, spiritual kids and working maybe with spiritual kids and helping them, because you were sensitive, put into a kind of a world that was not made up that way in so many ways. And so now let's look at your relationship maybe with your family. How is it you stay away from them? Or, they say, check your spiritual growth, and if you think you know a lot, just go spend a weekend with your family, and they'll press every button that you have,
Well, would you go spend time with someone that has never liked you, someone that has tried to kill you, someone that is not sorry for anything they ever done to you, who, if they saw you at a funeral or wedding, won't even look your way, acknowledge you exist, So I'm not going to keep knocking on that door, keep calling that phone number. I'm not completely stupid.
Mm-hmm. So you can love them, but just stay away from them, set a strong boundary, and it can be toxic to you. That can be toxic, totally toxic to you.
All I would be doing if I went around them, including my mother, is giving them another opportunity to hurt me, because that's all they do.
Mm-hmm. And so by you telling them no and setting a strong boundary, our listeners and people who read your book, then it gives them permission. Sometimes we just need permission, or we don't think about it, that you can just walk away from it. As an adult, we can walk away, and that is a solution, or it is an opportunity that we don't even consider sometimes, especially if you're sensitive and you want to fix things and help people and love everyone, and your worth is zero. You become like the ultimate doormat, and so if you can change that, get that, that you're of value and you're worthy, that you do have a voice and that you do matter and you do count. And each and every one of us do. And I got that from your book, that each of us has a voice that needs to be shared. And it's special. We're all unique and pretty amazing and special. And if we can have an environment set up, what would our world look like? What would that look like to you? If the perfect world, this perfect growing up, that's probably what you tried to do for your children. I know I tried to do that with my children. We're not perfect though, right? And we do our best and we still screw up. Let's talk to that.
Well, I think grandparents need to be more involved. If my grandparents would have asked me how things were going, or why did you run away, or how are things going with your stepdad, because I know the older kids all ran away because of his abuse. Nobody wanted to see anything. Back in the 70s, it was your parents run the show. Nobody questioned your parents, which, I totally support, my biological children, my husband's biological children, because they're excellent parents. But some of my adopted kids, I've had to call CPS on them I'll be the bad guy. I've had to call the police because of domestic violence. I'll be the bad guy because somebody's going to stand up for these kids. The kids come first. I'm sorry, the kids come first. So, a perfect world would be removal's not the answer. Calling CPS isn't the answer. I wish it was, but it's not that simple. You just have to get creative and find ways to give parents a break, talk to parents about what's going on and confront them and give them ultimatums if this continues. I mean, there's parents out here on drugs and the grandparents know it. Nobody's saying anything. That's not good for the kids. The kids end up on drugs or they end up suicidal or people just are checking out instead of doing what's hard and trying to dig their heels in and make the world a better place. They're just like, oh, well, I deserve a break. I used to be a counselor for drug addicts, and it's awful that they're just thinking about their next fix and not think they'll steal from their grandmother. They'll lose custody of their kids, but that drug's everything. So I think sometimes it feels like we're on it's like a snowball headed towards hell sometimes, but there's a lot of good out there too. So sometimes you just have to start focusing on it and do what you can. So, are you there? Did I lose you? I think I'm talking to myself now. Oh, that's nice. Are you there? Hello? Are you there? Me, myself, and I here. I don't know where you went. I hear something now and then, like you're coming back, but I feel really stupid right now. Okay, I guess I'm going to sign off here because I don't know where she went. Quit Skype.
Okay, we're back. Hello, are you still there? We'll try and get Peggy back. This is the Cosmic Oracle Show, Barbara Jean Lindsey. My whole internet connection just totally died, so we'll see if we can get Peggy back, and we'll add her to this. And we're just going to try and get her back right now. We're not going to give up. So thanks for staying with us. I am off of Facebook because of my internet connection. And so we'll just be staying live here on Studio B here at Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And so we'll see if we can just see what's going on here. Everyone, just hang in there. Peggy Robinson is our guest today. And she's just an amazing lady. And we had her on talking about her work and her book, The Will of a Wildflower. And it's just an amazing book. She's an incredible lady. She has such spunk and stubbornness and strength to help these children and so many of the other people that have crossed her paths with her life and how she's affected so many. So let's see if we can get a hold of Peggy and get back on the show. So let's see. We're going to try something right now. Peggy. The show. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what we can do here. So we've called her back. We'll see if we can get her back on. We show her. We're going to add her right now. And we're calling her right now to come back to our show, the Cosmic Oracle Show. We have a little bit of time left, so maybe we can work it, shall we say. We were getting into some really strong subjects there, and I did want to leave on an up note for Pegi and her work and what she does and helps so many. I wanted to talk about her work with the IANS group as well, and that is the International Association for Studies of Near-Death Experiencers. And so it's a pretty cool thing that she does. Okay. All right. Not you, just the radio. Okay. So let's see what's going on. I think she's just continuing her show. So let's see if we can turn her on. Maybe we can hear it this way.
I didn't catch the first ones. Renee?
There we go. All right. So I guess we're just going to continue without her is the way we're going to handle it. And so I will talk a little bit about near-death experiencers, and there are a lot of commonalities for people who have had a near-death experience, and a lot of that work comes from the work of general death experiencers from one of my favorite organizations, an international organization called IANT, International Association for Near-Death Studies. And so we're going to try and still add Pegi to this call if we can, and see what she'll do. We're going to add her now and see if she can come back on and talk about her show. But in the meantime, if we don't, I want to thank you all for tuning in to the show. And okay, so near-death experiences can happen to anyone at any age. I know Pegi was 5. I was 37 when my experience happened. And when an individual has a brush with death and almost dies or is pronounced clinically dead. So no two NDEs are identical, but when numerous NDE reports are considered together, there's a pattern that becomes evident, and any single experience is likely to include one or more of these aspects of the overall pattern. So number one is feeling the self, like the self has left the body and it's hovering overhead. And the person may later be able to describe who was where and what happened, and sometimes in detail. And Pegi was able to do that when she talked about her little 5-year-old body leaving the body and actually going over to seeing her mother and her sister laying on the sand and talking, and also back into a kitchen. So that it's that part of us that is multi-dimensional part of ourselves. Once we lay down the physical body, or the Native American Indian, the skin dressing, that we are immortal, we never die. And so that part of us that just keeps going with or without a body still exists. So so that feeling of self and that has left the body and is hovering overhead is, you can describe it in detail, and many people have done that. And some people move through a dark space or a tunnel. I know that Pegi had said that she had walked through a tunnel, looked more like spaceship looking to her. But I also, I did never see a tunnel, and I have lots of friends who've had NDEs, and they never saw a tunnel. And I remember reading somewhere about an article about that the tunnel isn't as important as what's been put out there as a myth in a way. That actual science fact shows that that's not quite true. That a lot of people don't see a tunnel. More don't see a tunnel than do. I don't have the backup with me in the moment, but I do remember reading that. And experiencing intensely powerful emotions ranging from bliss to extreme distress. And so when she was dying from the bliss, she went into a bliss state, and that's that love part of being loved and being free and being open to go and be wherever she wanted to be. And then encountering a light. It's usually described as golden or white and as being magnetic and loving. Rarely is perceived as a reflection of the fires of hell. Yeah, it's not that way. Usually everyone that I've ever talked to who've had a near-death experience find it to be very magnetic and very loving, and it can be where the colors seem brighter. And I know Peggy had mentioned in her book that her hearing was more defined as well, if I remember that right. And people can receive messages that it's not yet your time. And so that's what she had when the angel came in and said, it's not your time now, and that you will be loved someday, and that she would have her big family and have a husband that adores her. So I'm so glad that she got to that point in her life now and gets to have, some vacation time or some period where she is loved and can feel that and receive that. So that the angel had told her that. And so that is Peggy Robinson's The Wheel of a Wildflower. She did tell me she is going to be on Dr. Oz's show on Monday. So I think that's so exciting. So it'll go national. A near-death experiencer will be talking on the Oz show, Peggy Robinson, on Monday. So I don't know what time or what channel or anything about that. But so that's pretty exciting. So people are starting to talk about it more. Oh, here she is, I think. Peggy, are you back? Hello? I think I see you. Okay. Peggy, are you here with us? Maybe not. We'll try it again. I thought I saw her for a second there. Let's see what happened to her. Okay. Oh, okay. We have Peggy. Let's see if we can get her back again. Okay. Hey, there she is. She's talking. Oh, we can't hear her. Oh, okay. So she is back, but we cannot hear. Are you back now, Peggy? If you could turn on your voice. Here. Turn on your voice. Maybe unmute. Unmute. Okay. Oh, this is funny. Okay. She's laughing. Yeah, it's kind of funny. So but we have you here. That's really good. So we were just talking about the different things that people go through. Some of the general death experiences that people can go through. Some of these patterns that they've developed some patterns that people go through. So that's what we were doing. Are you there, Peggy?
Am I here? Can you hear me? I gotta plug something in.
Okay. Yeah, it just totally my whole house went down.
Oh my gosh.
Everything went down. So we were talking some pretty heavy stuff there, But it all needs to be changed. I'm glad we talked about it, and we can just offer that up to Spirit to help heal that. And like you were talking earlier about prayer and the power in prayer, and we can pray for help, right? We don't all have to do it each individually. We can come together and make a change. Hey, I think that sounds like a song. And so we were just talking about some of the space that, some of the ideas that they found that there's a pattern of things that happen to people. Like we were talking about, you talked about the self and leaving the body, and then about the dark space or a tunnel that you went through. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, my second near-death experience?
Yes.
Okay. I was 25 and I was pregnant for twins, and I had 3 little boys at home, which was my 2 biological and my sister's child that we adopted. And I had my tubes tied when I was 20. My ex-husband had forced me to do that at my second C-section. And I found out when I was 25 I could have that reversed. And after I had it reversed, I was pregnant for twins. And I started having pain. I was 2 months. I started to show. And I called my doctor, and every other day saying something's wrong. I got pain. And he kept saying it's not tubal. We did ultrasound. Both babies are in the uterus. At the end of the week, I had so much pain, I asked my husband to drive me to the hospital. And we got almost there, and the pain was so intense that it faded away in such a strange way. I felt like wherever the pain was going, that's where I was going. I knew I was dying, but I couldn't verbalize that. So I didn't want to die in the car there and do that to my husband. So we got to the hospital, and I told him, I think it's a tubal pregnancy. I feel like I'm going to throw up. I feel like I'm going to pass out. I don't know. So they had him stay and sign the papers, and nurse put me in a wheelchair and started down a long hall to find me a room. And she put a blue bowl in my lap in case I got sick. Well, as soon as she started to push me down this hall, I thought, oh, I need to get that blue bowl. I'm going to throw up. And my hands were on the armrests. I couldn't lift a finger. I had lost contact with my body. And I thought, why did I lose contact with my body? Oh, wait, I'm not going to throw up. I'm going to pass out. And my head just dropped to my chest. And I'm familiar with passing out because I used to have irritable bowel real bad, and I would pass out like 2-3 times a week and just wake up and you know how much time's passed and, you know, dreams, nothing. Well, so I thought, oh, I'm going to pass out. Well, my head dropped to my chest. All of a sudden, I am in like this tunnel, and it's this loud noise, like I'm shot like a rocket way up to space. And it was dim. It was like a vibration, and wind speed, like I was going through space. And I thought, I got to run away because I got boys to raise. I can't. And I thought, it's too far away. I can never get back down there. I've lost by having this surgery. You know, I had they said, oh, every woman has 5% chance to a pregnancy, and this surgery would give me 5% more. So that's 10% chance. And I lost that gamble. I knew I'd die because, you know, I'm not in my body. I'm in this tunnel. I'm being shot up to space. Right. So here we go. You know, that's what's happening. And so all of a sudden that swift, fast ride through space stopped. And now I am suspended. I can't see me, but I feel just like me. I'm in a bright white light. And I look all the way around. And if it was a room, it would be floor was white light and the walls and the ceiling. But also in the middle, it was like I was in something containing light. And I'm looking around, and you don't have to turn around because there's no you. And so I'm thinking, okay, this must be heaven. So where is everybody? Did I do something wrong that I don't know about, that I'm going to be alone for eternity? And I thought about Earth way down below, and I just thought about people so busy going about their lives and not stopping and thinking about what they're doing, and life just seemed like strange, almost like it was a dream. Like life was a dream, and I was living. But all I could think about was I was so sad that I left my kids. And then I thought, well, I'm alone. And then I look up ahead and a little bit to the right, and I see an outline of a person, like up the arm and the shoulder and the head, just the outline in this white light. And I'm squinting thinking, who's there? And I notice there's person beside him and another one. It's like this panel of people, and I'm squinting. I can't make out anything more than outline of them. And then I see one sitting up front and center. And I thought, well, that has to be God, because sitting up front and center, that sounds like God. So I started screaming at him. And I was a brat. I was like, I ain't going to stay here. I have kids to raise. And I just went nuts. And a scenario opened up on my left. And it was a scene of a child in a store throwing a fit. And I believe that was God's way of showing me, this is how you're acting. Something that a young mother would understand. That's pretty bad. And so I thought, well, I got to humble myself before him. I mean, these people behind God are like obeying. They're not moving. I can just feel them watching me. And I think, well, I need to act like I got some sense, because I still want my way. And so I wanted God to understand how important this is to me. That so here is me, this point of reference of this invisible body that feels just like me, but straight across from me, I saw a physical me, and I'm screaming at God every abuse I ever went through. And now I hear people talk about life review, and I never could comprehend what is that. But I think that's what mine was. But I was showing God instead of him showing me. I'm screaming at all this abuse, everything I went through, to show him this is why I can't leave my kids down there without me. And but it was sped up like a record player real fast. Like, it was over. And I think that's God's way of showing me, okay, I heard you, I understood. You don't need to keep going on. And then I said, my near-death experience is a lot different than I ever heard of, but that's what happened. And then I told God, I said, well, you're omniscient. I had learned that through coming into my husband's Catholic church, that my ex-husband, that God's omniscient. So I said, you can see in the future. If you look in the future and you can tell me that my kids will be better off without me for whatever reason, I agree to stay. But if not, I beg to return. And then I see, it's like almost like the movie of the Christmas past and the Christmas future. It's like in the future, but not too far in the future, because my boys are about look same age. But I see, and I don't know if it's Jesus, but I see a man on the left, and I see a physical me from behind, but I'm still this point of reference, and I'm watching. And we go down, we're in my town at night above our trailer, and we can see clear through like there's no roof. And I look down closer, and there's my boys in there, and they're talking about the fact that mom has died. And my youngest biological, which is my middle son, says, I don't care that you say mom is dead. I want her back, and I want her back right now. And his heart was so broke that I felt his pain so much in my heart that I retracted. And now I'm back in the white light of heaven. And it seems to me that Jesus is now seated at the other side of God. And I am crumbled at his feet. And I am judging myself, not them judging me. I'm judging myself, and I see this not God's fault that I died. I got my tubes tied. I got them reversed. I got a 2 pregnancy. This caused me to die, caused my twins to die, caused my sons to be going to be motherless and not have my love and protection. And I was so remorseful and sobbing, realizing the gravity of all this that I've done. And I'm sobbing so much that I see now I have a physical body. I'm no longer that point of reference. When I come back, when I retract and I'm back, I'm in a physical form, because I see my hands come up, but I'm at Jesus' feet and not over there, in the center of this. And I say, who else will teach them about you? And then I'm back in that wheelchair, but in the hospital. But before I am, there's this bleep of a second that I'm in the fluorescent light of the ceiling of the hospital, and I'm looking down. I see the back of my head, the 2 nurses behind me, and something's like, you got to get back. Go now, just hurry, go. And I go, and first comes back my hearing. I hear the nurses talking behind me, and there was just one nurse when I went out, now there's 2, and we're at the end of the hall. And that confused me, because this seemed like this went on for maybe 15, 20 minutes, but from one end of the hall to the next, it couldn't have been a minute. So this made no sense, but I knew I was just in heaven accepting it, and now I am back. And that was so powerful. I will never forget that. But so first come back my hearing, and then I felt my hands, I got contact with my hands again on the armrest, and then I felt warmth go down my body. And then I felt something inside said, once you feel your feet, you're all the way back. And then I waited, and then I felt my feet on the foot pedals. And I thought, what the hell was that?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what I thought. Because I thought this never happened in the history of the world. This is impossible. But I knew this just happened. And I couldn't tell anybody because I needed my doctor to take me seriously that something's wrong. I didn't need to be sent to the psych ward because I'm nuts talking about being in heaven or something, you know. And so my doctor come in, and he was on call, and he prepped me for DNC. And then he sat me up and he says, Peggy, he says, why do you say it's to a pregnancy? I told you it's not. Your uterus is still intact. You're still pregnant. You're still pregnant. It's not to a pregnancy. And I could not tell him. And so I said, I'm not going home. So he let me spend the night. Well, the next morning, they took me to ultrasound, and they said I had internal bleeding filling my entire abdominal cavity clear up to my chest. And they rushed me into surgery. They called my family, said I wasn't going to make it.
It's the end of the show. Thank you so much for being amazing guest. And everyone, buy her book, The Will of a Wildflower. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you.
You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message. Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at buyer risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free, but there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver Eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Take a look around, kid. What do you see? Homes being foreclosed. People working 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table and still drowning in debt. Don't get me wrong. This country is founded on great ideals and principles. They've all been ruined by the banks. Open your eyes to banks that are robbing you. You know who my favorite president was? Who? Thomas Jefferson. Because he saw all of this coming and tried to stop it. He fought the banks. JFK too, and they killed him for it. The banking institution is more dangerous than an army, he said. He also said that every generation needs a revolution, Jimmy. The American dream is just that. Just a dream. War is a continuation of politics, only by other means. Politics is a continuation of economics by other means. This is our bank. This